Well, a very, very happy Friday morning, everyone, and welcome to the John Kentera Show. San Diego sports talk at its finest. Glad you could join us on this Friday morning, getting ready for a big weekend of Padre baseball back at Petco Park. A lot to get done today on the program. And of course, as always, we want your questions to come in. You can start typing them in right now. If you got any questions at all, whether it's on the Padres or the Dodgers or the Angels, and we're going to talk both today about the Dodgers and Angels, but of course, we're going to normally talk primarily San Diego Padres and what's going on in the San Diego sports field. Just a couple of items of business. Number one, please subscribe to the program. We're trying to build our listenership and would very much appreciate it if you'd subscribe and like. But again, I love those comments. We're on 3 platforms. We're on, of course, YouTube, San Diego Sports Talk. We're on Facebook, John Kentera, and on X at Coach Kentera 44. So hope everyone has had a great week. Been a good week. Padres finished up the road trip 3-3. And before I get into the Padres, I want to tell you about something that happened to me a couple of days ago. I've got a friend. Her name is Randy Collender Hoke, and her father was Bill Collender, the longtime San Diego police chief, and then became the San Diego County sheriff. And she was telling me about this show. 2 guys that I know, uh, Sully and Little Tommy Sablon. And they've been in the market for a long period of time. Tommy is actually the producer at KUSI, and he invited me up to the Sully and Little Tommy show on Wednesday. So I went up there and wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do, but it couldn't have worked out better. I I'm sitting in the crowd, and I didn't know who the guests were going to be, and the guests didn't know I was going to be there. Well, the guests ended up being my buddy Randy Jones and Alicia Gwynn, Tony Gwynn's widow. And I hadn't seen Alicia in a while, and she looks fabulous. And of course, I had talked to Randy quite a bit, but they didn't know I was going to be in the audience. So they're sitting at the main table, and they called me up, and I shared my thoughts on Randy. I told a couple of Randy Jones stories, and I told a couple of great Tony Gwynn stories from my friendship with Tony. And the show is going to be on tomorrow. It's going to air on Fox Saturday morning, 9 a.m. It'll be on KUSI at 11 a.m. And then if you miss it on Sunday, you better get up really early. It's going to be on KUSI at 4 a.m. and going to be on Fox at 6 a.m. But it was a fun show, a lot of really good content, some good baseball talk, and just a fun show. And I thank Randy Collender Hoke for inviting me with little Tommy. It was fun, and it couldn't have worked out better. Randy and Alicia didn't know I was going to be there. I didn't know they were going to be there, and it worked out absolutely fantastic. So I want to just tell you about that. It was a really good time, and I'm very glad that I took the time to be a part of it. Okay, we're going to get into the Padres. Wednesday, a huge game for them to finish the road trip 3-3. After dropping 2 of 3 in Chicago, they won the first game in Sacramento against the A's, and then they got boat race the next night, and then they come back and they get an outstanding performance from Randy Vasquez, and they won the game 2-1. They out hit the Athletics 12-2. They left 11 runners on, but the bottom line, they got on the airplane and got back to San Diego with an off day yesterday with a win, and that was huge. Uh, Vasquez, and we're going to talk more about Randy in a minute, but he went out there and really threw a heck of a game. 5 innings, 1 hit, 1 run. It was earned, 3 walks, a strikeout. Bullpen is unbelievable. Bullpen right now, best ERA in baseball, 1.69. They've been unbelievable. Adrian Morejon looked good. Jeremiah Estrada, Jason Adam, Robert Suarez. I mean, when you look at those guys that pitched on Wednesday, Morejon got a 1.23 ERA right now, a 0.95 whip, averaging less than a base runner an inning. Jeremiah Estrada, 1.23, 0.55 whip. Jason Adam hadn't given up a run, 0.82 whip. And then Robert Suarez, the 1 inning the other day, walked a batter, 6th save of the year. 0.00. They haven't gotten a hit off of Suarez in 6 innings this year, and his whip is 0.33. Now, I don't expect that the remainder of the year, but that is a hell of an effort. 1.69 ERA, the best in baseball out of the Padre bullpen. Let's face it, the starters haven't been going all that deep. And the bullpen has just gotten the job done in a big way. But a great effort by Randy Vasquez the other day, and then turn it over to the bullpen. And I mentioned on Wednesday before the game, when we had our podcast, I go, Mike Schilt needed to get 5 out of Vasquez and turn it over to the bullpen with an off day on Thursday, and that's exactly what happened. It was a perfect recipe to get home with a 500 road trip. I'll take a 500 road trip all day long, throughout the course of the year. In the ball game, Xander Bogaerts 3 for 5, a double, scored both runs. Offensively, Padres swung the bat. Manny Machado 2 for 3, 2 more walks. Manny hitting 340 right now. Oscar Gonzalez 2 for 4, third inning RBI single to center, already making a contribution. We're going to talk more about him in a minute as well. But I want to talk about Randy Vasquez. I mentioned the other day that when he was traded in that big deal with Juan Soto going to the Yankees, that I liked Randy Vasquez. I saw him pitch against the Padres. I liked it. What I saw, he doesn't have overpowering stuff by any stretch of the imagination. He's got to throw more strikes. His walks are just way too high for a starting pitcher. But the thing you have to understand about Randy Vasquez, he's made great improvement, even from last year to where we're at right now. We'll see where it goes. He made 20 starts last year, and I'm going to get into those numbers in a minute. But when he came to San Diego, he wasn't a seasoned big league pitcher. He had pitched in 11 big league ball games with 5 starts. And I was looking at his numbers from the Yankees. 11 big league games, 5 starts in 2023. He was 2-2 with a 2.87 ERA and 37 and 2/3 innings. So before he came to San Diego, he had only thrown 37 and 2/3 innings in his major league career. 30 hits, he'd given up 5 homers, walked 18, which was too many in 37 and 2/3. It hit 4 batters, not afraid to pitch inside, and it struck out 33. So the Padres were getting a very, very young major league pitcher. And then last year, he ended up making 20 starts, and he spent some time in the minor leagues. He went 4-7 with a 4.87, a whip of 1.51, so 1.5 base runners per inning. Too much traffic. But he threw 98 innings, gave up 119 hits, not good. 56 runs, 53 earned, 29 walks in 98 innings, 6 hit batsmen, 62 strikeouts, not a strikeout guy, and gave up 13 home runs. Too many home runs for 98 innings, in my opinion. You know, maybe one homer every 10 innings you'd kind of like to see, maybe that ratio, or 1 in 9 innings. But he's making great strides, really good strides. So far this year, he's pitched 15 and 2/3 innings, given up only 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, but 12 walks. Again, the walks are going to take him out of ball games. It's going to take the Padres out of ball games. Got only 6 strikeouts in 15 and 2/3 innings. But that's okay if he's not walking batters. Pitch to contact. A lot of guys, they don't even know what that means nowadays. It's all about max effort. But Randy Vasquez can really help this ball club, and he's getting better. He hadn't given up a home run yet. So that's a good sign. So in 3 starts, 1-1 with a 1.72 and a whip of 1.21. Outstanding. Outstanding effort by Randy Vasquez. But again, we got to remember he's a very, very young major league pitcher at 26 years of age, and had only pitched in 11 big league games before he came to the Padres. Along with Ruben Niebla and the hard worker Randy Vasquez, he's making progress, which is really good. Yeah, I want to mention Xander Bogaerts. Xander Bogaerts the other day had a really good ball game, and 3 hits, a double, scored both runs, hitting 304. Not a lot of power right now. No homers, but 5 RBIs. Doing a nice job at shortstop. So we'll see where that goes. I would imagine when it's all said and done, he'll end up cranking between 15 and 17 home runs. Things start heating up. He'll get it rolling. I'm a big Xander Bogaerts fan. It's been tough to watch the first 2 years here in San Diego, because he wasn't the same Xander Bogaerts in a Padre uniform that he was in the Boston uniform. And he's battled injuries each of the first 2 years. So let's see if he can stay healthy and regain that power stroke to a degree. But hitting 304 right now, I'll take that. I wanted to talk, excuse me, about Oscar Gonzalez. This guy is an interesting player for me. Maybe, just maybe, AJ Preller has hit on something here. And I want to take you back a little bit and give you a little bit of a history lesson on Oscar Gonzalez. He's 27 years of age. He's a big guy at 6'4", about 240 pounds. He was originally signed by the Cleveland Indians, now Guardians, as an international free agent back on July 2nd, 2014. He got a $300,000 signing bonus as an international free agent. He made the big club May 26, 2022. How about this? The first hit he ever got in the big leagues was the same day that he brought him up on May 26th. He got it off the guy that won the Cy Young last year in the American League, Tarek Skubal. And later in the game, against another pitcher, he actually had a double in that game. But in 2022, he played a lot for the Guardians and did very well. He had 382 plate appearances, 362 at bats. He had 27 doubles, 11 homers, and 43 RBIs, and hit 296. I mean, that's 2 years ago. Then last year, 2 years ago, in 2023, 180 plate appearances, and it really didn't play a lot. 173 at bats, only hit 230 or 214 that year, with a 239 on base percentage. Just totally out of sorts. I mean, 7 doubles, 2 triples, 2 homers, but wasn't the same hitter. Then he was claimed, after he went through waivers, he was claimed by the New York Yankees. And during spring training, he fouled a ball into his face. How painful is that? And he broke an orbital bone. And so he got a really late start last year, and he spent all last year in AAA in Trenton. And he actually, it was in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre he was. And last year he hit 294, 8 homers, 45 RBIs in 78 games and stole 7 bases. So the Padres end up getting this guy. And you know what? Here's the common denominator on this. And this is what most talk show hosts won't tell you because they won't do the deep dive like I will when it comes to looking at players. The association, think about this, Cleveland. Who's the Padres hitting coach? Who worked in the Cleveland organization? Victor Rodriguez. Victor Rodriguez now probably told AJ Preller, hey, this Oscar Gonzalez guy got some ability. He had some bad breaks. He didn't get to play a lot his second year in Cleveland. Last year, he fractured an orbital bone. Let's take a chance on this guy. I think he can hit. I think he's got some power. And the other day, he went 0 for 1 in his first game up when they rushed him into the game right after he got off the plane from El Paso. And then the other day, he comes in and gets 2 hits and drives in a key run to win the ball game. So at the end of the day, maybe, just maybe, through Victor Rodriguez telling the front office and AJ Preller, maybe they found something. Because, hey, let's face it, Victor Rodriguez has done wonders with some of these Padre hitters at this point. And let's face it, Oscar Gonzalez has done a great job of fighting his way onto this roster. And I know we got the injuries. Jackson's out on the IL right now. Hopefully Fernando and Cronenworth are going to be back in the lineup tonight and be ready for the weekend. Fernando nursing that left shoulder that was surgically repaired a couple of years ago. Cronenworth, hopefully, from where he got hit in the ribs last weekend in Chicago, it cramped up the other night in that game in Sacramento. Hopefully he's ready to go. But just maybe the Padres have hit on something with Oscar Gonzalez. So we'll see where it goes. Okay, Padres back home. Homestand against the Colorado Rockies, who are 3-9. They won yesterday. They beat Milwaukee, but they're scuffling. And then they got the Cubs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday before they head back out on the road. They'll have an off day next Thursday. And then if everything goes well, a week from today, next Friday, Jackson Merrill should be activated if that hamstring is making great progress and he's ready to go. But tonight at Petco Park, 6:40, Colorado right-hander German Marquez, 0-1 and a 2.45. He can be tough. Padres going with right-hander Nick Pivetta coming off a miserable start last week in Chicago where he only lasted 3 innings. He's 1-1 with a 2.70, and Marquez will be making his third start of the year. Let's get to some of the other notes that I've got. I got all kinds of notes today. With an off day yesterday, I spent an unbelievable amount of time. And then I want to get to questions here before long. I mentioned Marquez and Pavetta Friday night. Saturday, you got right-hander Chase Dolliner, 1-0, but a 7.20 ERA that game, normally right at 540. And then Sunday, 110, it'll be veteran left-hander Kyle Friedland, 0-2 and a 3.79. Going against Padre right-hander Michael King, 2-0 in a 4.05. Okay, let's get to some questions. We got some questions today, I would imagine. And also, I would also like maybe a little bit of a roll call on a Friday. Where are you watching and listening to our program? Love to hear from you. Sam Sanford, good morning, Coach, from St. George, Utah. Boy, I remember playing up there when I was in college basketball, playing against Southern Utah. Very nice town right there close to Cedar City. Any news updates on Connor Joe joining us at the big league level? I think he deserves a shot, especially with Hayward and Gurriel off to slow starts. Well, Jason Hayward had a couple of knocks the other day. Gurriel struggling, man. He did have that RBI double the other night, but really not doing a whole lot. Hitting 100 right now. Connor got off to a good start. I didn't look at the box score from last night, but he was hitting right around 245, 250. But you know what? Connor Joe, he's always, no matter what league he plays in, he's going to hit 240 or 250, but he's going to have a high on base percentage. Not only that, you can utilize him in so many different ways. I mean, he could play right, he could play left, he could play third, he could play first, and in a pinch, he could catch. So he's the ultra utility guy. I'll tell you a guy that's swinging the bat really well is Tyler Wade. He's been leading off for El Paso. Last I looked last night prior to the game, he was hitting 321. But I think Connor Joe at some point, Sam, is going to be up here. I would not doubt that for one bit. But thank you very much, Sam. I appreciate that. And hopefully the weather is nice there in St. George, Utah. Very much appreciate that. Tim Barrett, still here in Grant Pass, Oregon, Coach. Great, Tim. Beautiful part of the country. No question about that. Very much appreciate that. And thanks for tuning in. Let's get to Coach's mailbag. We'll get to more questions. We got all kinds of time today to get to questions. Let's get to the Coach's mailbag. Friar fan, what do you expect these next two home series? Well, in a perfect world, I'd like to sweep the Rockies. Buddy Black's team will come in. They're going to play tough. They got some good players. I don't know if Enrique Tovar, their outstanding shortstop, I don't know if he's going to play. He's been battling, I think, a groin injury. And I don't know if he's going to be ready to go at 100%. But that center fielder, they got Brenton Doyle, hell of a player. He had a really good play. Had a big day yesterday, swinging the bat against Milwaukee. But in a perfect world, you'd sweep Colorado and you get 2 out of 3 from the Cubs. You win 5 games over the next 6, you're sitting in pretty good shape. Would you be 15-4? I'll take that any day of the week and twice on Sunday. That's what I'd expect more than anything else. Okay, let's keep those questions coming here. Thanks again, Friar fan. Very much appreciate that. Susie F92, does the record add pressure this early in the season for the team? No. You know why? Because these guys, they're able to move on. What happened yesterday was yesterday. What's today? They're not worried about tomorrow. They're just going to play it one day at a time. And, I always like to give the standings on the podcast, but the thing that I will tell you, the standings really don't mean anything until like June 1st. I mean, everybody's kind of sorting things out, and you'll see when I go through the standings here in a little bit, and I'm going to give you both the National and the American League West today. Everybody's kind of just, kind of like a boxing match, trying to feel one another out. And at some point in time, some teams are going to separate. But right now, the Padres, Dodgers got to be ticked. I mean, the Dodgers right now got off to a great start, 10-4, and they're not in first place. But they're going to get Freddie Freeman back tonight, from what we hear. We'll wait and see on that. But Susie, I think more than anything else, these guys, they've got a short-term memory. If they had a bad game yesterday, they come out, you got to flush it because over 162 games, you can't beat yourself up. You got to put that in the rearview mirror. And as I used to tell my players, hey, once it's in the scorebook, there's nothing you can do about it. You got to move on and don't worry about your at-bat last inning. Let's worry about the at-bat coming up. Let's figure out how we can get a base hit and move on. But once it's in the scorebook, it's history. There's nothing you can do about it. And I always remember a conversation I used to have nightly with Buddy Black. And I would always go down to batting practice. And when Boch was there too, but when Buddy was there, I was down there quite a bit. And Boch and Buddy were great to deal with. And I always wanted to know who was available out of the bullpen because when I was doing the post game show, if they didn't bring in the guys that they normally would bring in, why didn't they bring them in? I wanted to know why because I wanted to let the listening audience know why. Because people would call, well, why didn't Scott Linebrink come in or why didn't Trevor Hoffman come in? Well, the guy had thrown 3 days in a row, maybe 4 out of 5 games, and had to come in. And as Boch would say, I don't want these guys to have surgery. But I would always ask Buddy just before I would leave to go do the pregame show, Buddy, who's hot, who's not tonight? And he goes, hey, remember, coach, it's tough to win a Major League Baseball game. And we always talked about that, and it's kind of a joke between us. It's tough to win a Major League Baseball game, and it really is. And when you play against good teams, you got to play all 27 outs because good teams aren't going to give you a break. They're going to play hard until that final out is put in the scorebook. So you got to be able to turn the page a little bit. Okay, let's keep those questions coming. I'm in a good mood for questions. Tommy, facing down the Purple Dragon today, LFGSD. Hey, they've been a thorn in the Padres side. There's no doubt about it. Padres normally do a pretty good job at Petco, but they struggle like hell at Coors Field. I mean, that's the house of horrors. I'll tell you this. Over the last several years, I think Arizona playing at Chase Field, I think that's a bigger launch pad than Coors Field is. But the outfield is just so big at Coors Field. A lot of balls dunk in. You know, Texas leaguers, and it prolongs the innings, and the pitch count goes up and up and up. But Chase Field, I hate Chase Field. It just, man, the infield's hard. The ball flies. I think you got a better chance of getting people out nowadays at Coors Field. Rich McGuire, Carlsbad, can't wait to see tonight's lineup. Yeah, well, that'll be interesting. You know, the thing that I always wonder is the Padres will tell you, oh, the guy making good progress. Next thing you know, the guy's going on the IL or he's having Tommy John surgery. Hopefully, tonight, you've got a right-hander. Hopefully, Cronenworth's back in there. Obviously, Tatis against right-hander, left-handers. You want him in there. I just hope that shoulder's not barking. If that shoulder goes awry, we got some problems here, folks. We got to get that guy back in the lineup. We can't lose Fernando. We're already missing Jackson Merrill. I mean, think about that outfield. Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr. What organization wouldn't want to have those two guys, for crying out loud? Yeah, Rich, I think the lineup will be interesting tonight. I totally agree. And I think I would think, probably go with Jason Hayward in left with a right-hand pitcher. And again, Jason Hayward had a couple of hits the other day. At some point, and I think you got to give these guys at least 50 to 75 at bats. In a perfect world, you'd like to give these guys 100 at bats, Yuli Gurriel and Hayward, but I don't know if you're going to be able to do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, you got to win baseball games. And number two, you got guys down in the minor leagues that I think are swinging the bat. And a guy like Oscar Gonzalez, I mean, he's already kind of earned his stripes just in that one game and what he did in spring training. He deserves to be up here and he deserves to play a little bit. And, you know, maybe he'll start on Sunday against the left-hander, Kyle Freeland, who can be tough. I mean, Freeland can be tough. He doesn't win a lot of games because Colorado doesn't win a lot of games, but Freeland can be very tough from time to time. Okay, what do you think about the Cubs acquiring Tom Cosgrove from the Padres for cash considerations? Well, they took him off the 40-man roster. He went through waivers, and they just made a deal. Wink, wink. We'll give you Cosgrove for cash considerations. I don't know if next year when the Padres are in town, Jed Hoyer and the crew there in Chicago are going to buy A.J. Preller in the front office lunch or what. But, cash considerations. How much is that? Is that $100? Is that $1,000? Is it $100,000? $50,000? Just cash considerations. And let's face it, Tom Cosgrove 2 years ago pitched great. Last year, he couldn't get anybody out, didn't have a good spring. And you know what? Padres got plenty of left-handed pitching in the bullpen. I mean, they got guys throwing really, really well right now. I mean, Wandy Peralta's pitched great. Adrian Morahone, Yuki Matsui. Those guys are doing a hell of a job right now. They're really doing a good job. And they sent down Omar Cruz. Omar Cruz pitched pretty well the other night in El Paso. And I mentioned Omar Cruz the other day. I like him a lot. I think he's got a chance to really help this ball club, if not this year, maybe in the future. But I bet we see Omar Cruz back up here at some point. But a good question there, Jason. Steve Tejas. Hi, Coach. I noticed that pitchers today don't follow through as much. Do you think this is causing more pitching injuries? Well, Steve, you're a former pitcher. I think you would agree with me. Pitching in a perfect world should be a lower body exercise from the waist down. A lot of pitchers, a high percentage of them, they pitch from the waist up, and that's why you have so many injuries. I think a couple of things on pitching, and I could talk about this forever. I don't think pitchers, their legs are strong enough. And I remember talking with Charlie Huff many years ago, the knuckleballing pitcher for the Dodgers. He had a great run with the Texas Rangers. And I remember having him on my radio show one night, and I talked to him about starting pitching. And we were just talking about different guys. He goes, to be a starting pitcher, you got to have powerful legs. And, to be a reliever, you don't have to have the powerful legs because you're not going deep into ball games. You're throwing an inning, maybe 2 innings on certain nights. But I think, and I really noticed this many years ago. You got to remember a right-handed pitcher, Adam Eaton, who was really talented and had some good years for the Padres, and he blew out his arm. And I remember watching Adam Eaton. He was a great guy, by the way. Uh, he used to land on a stiff front leg, and so it became a real upper body exercise for him throwing a baseball. And throwing a baseball is not a natural motion. That's why softball pitchers can throw 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Man, they just keep windmilling. But throwing a baseball is very, very difficult on the elbow, on the shoulder. And Steve, to answer your question, I don't think pitchers run enough to build their leg strength up. They do a lot of cardio work. They do the elliptical, they do the leg press, but they don't get out and run. And I'll give you a great example. Trevor Hoffman had this ritual, and I know he was a relief pitcher, but he used to run every day. And I mean, it was amazing. And he would have guys come in from other organizations or young guys coming up, and they want to follow what Trevor's doing. Those guys lasted about 2 or 3 days, then they went by the wayside. And I remember one year, the late, great Kevin Towers, who I just love, great baseball man, great guy. Love the game of baseball. Love the Padres. Love San Diego. Met him when he first came from Medford, Oregon. He played at my old junior college, and we became friends. And the story goes, I helped him get his very, very first place to live when him and a guy named Russ Botzer came from Medford, Oregon. So I'd known Kevin when he was 17 years of age. And one night he was sitting with me in the press box at Old Qualcomm Stadium. And I said to him, I go, Kevin, and Kevin knew where I was coming from because he played in the same program I did in junior college. We played for a guy by the name of John Seeley. If you could play for John Seeley, you could play for anybody. He was tough. I mean, he was tough. From the time guys walked through the gate to start practice or game, you better be ready to play. You better have your hair cut, your shoes shined, your uniform wearing properly, or man, you paid for it. But we were always in great condition. And we ran a lot. And Kevin knew what I was talking about. I said to Kevin, I go, Kevin, I've never seen a pitching staff run less than what you guys do. He goes, it's funny you say that. He goes, Wally Joyner said that to me the other day. And all of a sudden, and I'm not going to get into who the pitching coach was, and now a lot of things are different because the trainers do a lot of that. But the following year, the pitching coach didn't return, and some things changed with the Padres. And I'm not saying what I said or what Wally said made Kevin think about it, but they did change some things at that point in time. But I think more pitchers need to focus on their legs when they're throwing rather than max effort. The key to pitching is hitting your spots and changing speeds. And a lot of stuff is just too hot. You're throwing. You only have so many bullets in your gun. And when you're throwing max effort, it's just a matter of time before you blow out your shoulder or elbow. But again, I think pitchers need to use their legs a lot more than they do right now. All right, Coach, did you like seeing Padres play in a AAA ballpark? I actually liked it. It's a massive dollar ballpark. I do love Petco, though. I'll tell you what, and I talked to some people that were at the games up in Sacramento. It's a minor league ballpark, but that's okay. At the end of the day, they've got three bases, a home plate, and a pitching mound that's 60 feet 6 inches away. You play the environment. But I think for the fans, it's probably pretty cool. It's all about baseball. It's not a lot of hijinks and nonsense that goes on. It's all about baseball, and I think that's a good thing. I noticed that last week when I was up in Anaheim for the Angel game. And I talked about the scoreboard. I think Petco Park's got an incredible scoreboard. But man, they move things on and off, and I had a hard time following. I want to know what guys' batting average were, what they did last time up, where are the outs, where are the balls and strikes. And man, they're constantly moving things. And you look up, and you can't find it. You look away, and you look back, it's there, and it's gone. One thing I noticed about Angel Stadium, they leave stuff up for a while on the players. They got a picture of the players. They leave all their stats up, and I thought that was kind of cool. Some ballparks are more about baseball. Some are more about baseball and entertainment. I think the Padres is probably more about baseball and entertainment. But some are, pretty much, they do the little fun things in between innings, but more of them are focused on baseball than just the entertainment aspect. But you know what? I think there's a little bit for everybody. I love Petco Park. I think it's as good a ballpark as there is in baseball. It normally gets voted as the best ballpark in baseball. But I thought it was kind of cool. Anytime you can get close, especially if you have kids, you can get close and watch those players. As a kid, I used to go to Qualcomm Stadium and a lot of times go over the visiting dugout and talk to players. And, I was a catcher and I used to always ask the visiting, hey, can I check out your glove? And most of the time, guys were pretty cool. They'd toss the glove up and I could look at it and see what kind of model they used or a bat. I was one of those guys that I want to know if I was going to the ballpark, especially as I got older and I could drive, I'd get down there really, really early and get there in time to get into batting practice or maybe even sneak in if somebody would be nice to let me in and I could watch the different guys doing their workouts. Man, I just love going to batting practice. Batting practice was great. And in those days, they used to take infield practice, infield, outfield, and they don't do that any longer, which is unfortunate. But because I think the fans always really enjoyed that. But a lot of those guys, they get out there so early. And that's the other thing. I think ball teams, they get out there way too early. Too much idle time at the ballpark. You get out there and you sit around and then you take your ground balls, then you cool down, then you go out and throw, and then you cool down, you go in and eat, and then you got to warm up again. I just think teams kind of wear themselves out in pregame sometimes, especially as the season goes on. And I'm not the only one. I've talked to managers that don't disagree with me on that. Okay, let's get a few more in here. We got a few more. Tommy, should we trade Xander? No. Well, for two reasons. Number one, who's going to play shortstop? And number two, who's going to take that big contract? That's the big one, is that contract. He's not going anywhere. If anything, he'll move back eventually to second base, or who knows, he may even move to first base if they don't sign Luis Arise. You see Arise, he's only struck out one time so far this year. He had an 0 for 5 the other day leading off, but he's only struck out one time in like 53 at-bats this year. I mean, he's doing a heck of a job, but he moved to the leadoff spot for the first time this year on Wednesday. Went 0 for 5. But no, they're not going to trade Xander. Xander's playing good baseball right now, but that contract, he's not going anywhere. Thank you very much. Retod, these injury concerns are a good reminder of the value of one of Manny's best abilities, his availability. Absolutely, 100%. I don't know if I mentioned this the other day. I was looking at Manny's numbers. I know I mentioned it yesterday on the Fletch and Sammy show. And by the way, I'm on that show every Thursday. I'm either on at 12:30 or 1:30, and really enjoy being on with those guys. But I was looking at Manny's numbers the other day because I'm hoping Manny's going to get to 3,000 hits. And I think if I got this correct, right now Manny has 1,917 hits. And I would hope, he's going to finish with well over 2,000 this year. And probably, if he gets over 2,000, if he could he probably won't get to 2,100 this year because they'd have to get rolling. He normally gets between 155 and 167 hits a year, I think. Early in his career, it seemed like he was getting more hits. But his power numbers are really good. And who knows, maybe he'll end up with 500 home runs. I think that's within reach, no question. But I would imagine in about 6+ seasons, if Manny stays healthy and he loves to play, he doesn't want to be out of that lineup. He should get 3,000 hits. If let's say, just for giggles on this one, let's say he was able to get to 2,100 hits. If he averaged 150 a year for the next 6 years, that'd be another 900. He'd get to 3,000. So I think there's a really, really good chance he's going to be a 3,000 hit guy. And that gives you an automatic invitation to Cooperstown, probably a first ballot guy. But I agree, the injury concerns are huge. And hopefully this thing with Jackson Merrill is not going to be a big problem. Hopefully he's able to rebound. Okay, I want to look at the pitching matchups. Pivetta going tonight against Herman Marquez. And tomorrow I think it's a big night for Kyle Hart. Kyle Hart right now has an 11.12 ERA. And he's 1-0 going against right-hander Chase Dollander, who's 1-0, but a 7.20 ERA. You look at those two ERAs, it looks like it could be a slugfest. That game on Saturday gets underway at 5:40. Sunday, it'll be Kyle Friedland 0-2, but a 3.79 going against right-hander Michael King, 2-0, and a 4.05. I want to see King go out and really build off of his last start. I really want to see him get out there and get in a good groove and go more than 5 innings and keep that pitch count down the best he can. Okay, we'll get some more questions here in a few minutes. I do want to mention the other two Southern California teams. The Dodgers sitting at 10-4 right now, coming off a 2-4 road trip, lost 2 of 3 in Philly, dropped 2 of 3 in Washington. Tonight they're going to be at Dodger Stadium. They got the Chicago Cubs. Left-hander Matthew Boyd, who really put the Padre hitters into a straitjacket last Saturday, 1-0. He hasn't given up a run in 11 innings this year. He's got a 0.00 ERA. Dodgers going to counter with Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who's 1-1 and a 1.06 ERA. Yamamoto making his fourth start. I mentioned earlier, Freddie Freeman expected to be back in the lineup tonight. He slipped in the shower at his home and has been on the IL. He's expected to be activated in time for the game tonight. And it just so happens to be Freddie Freeman bobblehead night. And they're going to have Freddie Freeman in that depiction of when he hit that walk-off grand slam homer in the World Series. So a big night tonight at Dodger Stadium. Dodgers trying to kind of find their sea legs. They had a tough road trip. Getting over to the Angels. Yesterday, I watched the Angels play. And I guess because I went to the game last Sunday and had just a great time, and I want to get back up to the Big A real soon. Fun place. Really, not only that, it was not that expensive, really. $20 to park. Are you kidding me? I'll take that any day. And I got in for $12.50 on a ticket. Now, next time I go, probably get a seat a little bit lower, but the seats weren't bad. For $12.50, how can you go wrong? Somebody said to me, he goes, well, were you upset you're in the upper deck? I go, hell no. Anytime I can get into a major league ballpark, it's a great seat to me. I don't need to be right on top of things. And watched a great ball game. Angels won the game. Mike Trout had a good ball game. They played well. Tyler Anderson pitched well that day. Didn't get the win, but pitched well. Angels right now 8-4. I watched their game yesterday, and man, they just boat raced Tampa Bay in the rubber game. But Ron Washington, his second year, they won yesterday 11-1. They out-hit Tampa Bay 14-6. Right-hander Jose Soriano 7 2/3 yesterday, 5 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Goes to 2-1, lowers the ERA down to 2.70. Joe Adell, their former number 1 pick, really starting to play and getting consistent playing time. Yesterday, 2 for 4, 2 homers, 4 RBIs. But here's the deal. He hit 2 homers in 1 inning. He's the third player in Angels history to hit 2 homers in 1 inning. And he did that yesterday. Angels just blew him out in the 5th inning. The other 2 guys, Rick Reichart, the former bonus baby out of the University of Wisconsin, did it back in 1966 against Boston in a 12-run innings, and Kendry Morales homered twice in a 9-run inning at Texas on July 30th, 2012. I want to talk about Mike Trout, though. Mike Trout yesterday had 2 homers, Was 2 for 5 yesterday, 3 RBI. So far, he's hitting 205 this year, but he's hit the ball a lot better. He lined out. I know when I was there, it was 1 for 3, and he hit one up against the wall. But he's got 5 homers and 11 RBIs. Now, here's the thing on Mike Trout, and this is why we went to the Angel game last Sunday. It was my grandson's 7th birthday, and big Manny Machado fan. Wore his uniform to school yesterday. Wears his baseball uniform all the time. Anytime he has a game at like 4 o'clock or 5:45, he wears his uniform to school. Loves baseball. So loves Manny Machado, loves Fernando, loves the Padres. But he wanted to go up and see Mike Trout because he watches baseball. He's not like a lot of kids that now they play, but they don't watch. And Jeb, he loves to watch baseball. And so he's watched some Angel games and knows all about Mike Trout. So we went up there, and Trout's healthy. He looks like he's lost some weight. He looks healthy. He's running really well. And I'm saying to myself, I was fortunate enough to see some great play. I saw Hank Aaron play. I saw Willie Mays play. I saw Roberto Clemente play. And I was young, but I remember those guys. I remember them playing. I remember watching Roberto Clemente. I got to see him play at Dodger Stadium as a kid. My uncle took me up to a game at Dodger Stadium. I got to see, Ernie Banks play. I got to see some of the greats of the 60s and 70s play when I was a young boy, and a lot of those guys were towards the end of their career. But for my grandson to go up to Angel Stadium and to be able to see Mike Trout play, I forgot just how good Mike Trout is. Now, he didn't play in the outfield that day, and he moved from center to right this year, try to keep him healthy, kind of like what we're trying to do with Fernando. But he was the DH, but watching him run, he stole a base the other day, looked great doing it. Stay healthy. But I forgot just how good this guy is. And I went back and I looked up his numbers. And I'm going to share a couple of things with you on Mike Trout. Number one, the injury bug. I'm going to take you back. Now, in 2020 was a COVID year. He played 53 to 60 games. But the following year, 2021, he played in only 36 games. Then he bounced back in 2022 and played in 119. Still not a lot for a guy like Mike Trout. Then in 2023, he played in 82 games. Last year, he played in 29 games. And hopefully this year, he'll be able to play in 125 games. They got to be careful. He's 33, going on 34. But I forgot just how good he was until I watched him in person. Then I watched him hammer 2 home runs yesterday on TV. I don't know where he ranks, and everybody wanted to compare him to Willie Mays. He's not Willie Mays. But because defense, Willie Mays, I think, was a better player, and I think he had a better arm, even though Trout could cover a lot of ground and make great plays. I think Willie Mays not only did it at a high level, he also did it with a lot more flair. He just had more flamboyancy to his game. He had some style. Players back then had kind of a little bit more of a style than a lot of the players nowadays. And that's the way I look at it. But Mike Trout in his career, 11-time All-Star, 3-time AL MVP, 9-time Silver Slugger award winner. He won the Rookie of the Year in the American League in 2012, and that year he also led the league in stolen bases. So we were looking at one of the great players in the history of baseball, and I'm very fortunate that we were able to get up there and have my young grandson get an opportunity to see Mike Trout play before his career comes to an end. And I would encourage you, if you've never seen Mike Trout play in person, try to get up there and hopefully he plays. That's the one thing. I remember one time I went as a kid to see the Giants play, and Willie Mays wasn't in the lineup. Man, I was brokenhearted. But I had already seen him play, and I was looking forward to seeing him play again, but he didn't play that day. But I saw some of the great ones, and to be able to share that with my grandson the other day was really, really special. Okay, let's take a look at the National League standings as we sit on this Friday morning. Padres sitting at 10-3. They got a plus 14 run differential. The San Francisco Giants, 9-3, playing great baseball. They've got a 18 plus 18 run differential. Now, the Giants, they've got an interesting road trip. They're going to be starting tonight. They got 3 at Yankee Stadium, and then on their way back, they get an opportunity to take on the Philadelphia Phillies, not in a 3-game series, but a 4-game series at Citizens Bank Ballpark. So a tough 7-game road trip for the San Francisco Giants. Dodgers 10-4. They open up a 6-game homestand. They got 3 tonight against the Cubs. And then I believe the Rockies are coming in after that. 2-4 road trip. Arizona 7-6. They've got 3 this weekend at home against Milwaukee, and then Colorado bringing up the rear at 3-9. The American League West. Bruce Bochy's Texas Rangers sitting at 9-4. The Angels right now a half game back at 8-4. They've got 3 this weekend in Houston, and then early next week they go to the ballpark in Arlington and take on the Texas Rangers. So they got an interesting road trip. Houston sitting at 5-7, 3 games back. Seattle 5-8, 4 games back. And the Athletics 5-8, and they're 4 games back. You know, I got to tell you this about Seattle. I'm going to be watching them. They have a hard time scoring runs. It's not a hitter-friendly ballpark that they play in up there in Seattle, but they've got as good a pitching staff as there is in baseball. And if they really can't contend and get into the postseason this year, they're going to have to be significant changes up there. Because, man, they can't waste the pitching that they have. You just can't waste it the way it's gone. And I know 2 years ago they got in the playoffs, but they got Dan Wilson, who I did a good job after he replaced Scott Service last year. Good baseball guy, former catcher, not only with Seattle but Cincinnati. Knows the game inside and out. I think that was a good hire, but they got to find a way to get some offense. And if not, I think Jerry DiPoto, their longtime general manager, could be in dire straits up there. So, anyways, unless we have more questions, and I love questions, you got to get those questions to me. We're going to get out of here on this Friday morning. I hope you have a great weekend. We're going to be back in on Monday. And again, please subscribe to San Diego Sports Talk, John Kentera Show, San Diego Sports Talk, John Kentera Show. And please tell a neighbor. Tell a neighbor that, hey, Coach is on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. live. And then, of course, you can always go on YouTube or Facebook or X and find it. Remember, on Facebook, John Kentera, and on X, Coach Kentera 44. Hope everyone has a marvelous weekend. Remember, the Sully and Little Tommy show tomorrow on Fox and KUSI. You want to check that out, and I think you'll have a good time watching that show with Randy Jones, Alicia Gwynn on the program. I made a guest appearance. So until Monday morning, 9 a.m., have a great weekend, everyone, and let's go Padres. Bye-bye.